Hi guys, I hope you guys are enjoying y'all evening. It is July 1st, 2022. Can't believe it. I mean, that fast, half of the year is gone. Time is flown by. But I wanted to do a response video for a few things, but one of the things that come to my mind right now and what I just watched is it's something called, if you have Netflix, it's called The Wrong Roommate. It is so good. It's really, really, really good. And one of the people that they talk about that caught my attention is Dorothea Puente. Now, I heard about her years ago, but I didn't really know the details of the story. So Dorothea Puente was a woman born in 1929, and she basically would have people come in that were vulnerable, mentally ill, and old. She killed 9 people but only went to jail for 3 because they believed her story of, oh, they died in their sleep. One of them, their name was Ruth Monroe, and that was like the saddest one because that was her friend. And they went into business together, and she put poison. They found poison in her system, and she would be giving her alcohol, and the son was like, why are you giving my mother alcohol? Saying, oh, she doesn't feel well. And the last time he saw her, she was crying. And I wanted to talk about using your gut instinct. Like, when something in your gut doesn't feel right, especially about your mom or any elderly person in your family, you have to go with it. Unfortunately, my grandmother passed away when I was 17, and I did not have any jurisdiction of what was going on with my grandmother, being that I was so young. And my grandmother died, and the home attendant was in her house, and my grandmother always said she did not want a home attendant in her house. My uncle insisted on it, and so my grandmother passed away. This is what was told to me by my mom. My grandmother passed away, and the home attendant did not call my uncle till 2 hours in. So either one of the two things, either you were sleeping or you was doing something you wasn't supposed to do, because you should know when your patient stops breathing. That was just weird to me, and I always wanted to do autopsy, whatever. They just closed. My mom and my uncle, they just was like, oh, she was old, the end. But I said that to say that sometimes with these people that's supposed to be taking care of your elderly family members, listen to your gut. Okay, we live in a real world, and people are evil. Let's just call it. And it's not even about nowadays. The world always been evil. Keep it real. Since the Bible days, Adam and Eve, the world has always been evil. The devil always been here, and he's going to keep being here. But it's your job to listen to that gut. That man, I feel so sorry for him, but when his mother was crying, when she told him, your mother doesn't feel well, she's laying in bed, she's crying, I would have been like, okay, my mother's coming home with me. I don't know why she's crying, but she's coming home with me. First of all, I would not let my parents be in nobody's boarding house, because let's keep it real. Nobody's that nice. At the end of the day, she opened her house to people she didn't know. Nobody does that unless if it's foster children. And even then, you got people who have foster kids, and they just want to collect checks. Nobody is that nice. Let's just keep it real. We have good people in the world, but nobody is that nice that they're going to have 10 elderly and mentally ill people in their house, and they just love everybody, and they so Christian. No, that's not realistic. So for me and my personality, I would ask her a few things. I'd be like, you got all these people in your house. Are you a nurse? Where's your certification? Where's your staff? Second of all, one person cannot take care of 10 people. These people need medication. You have to cook. You have to clean up after them. Some of them are elderly and they need assistance with certain things such as bathing, etc. She portrayed herself as an old person. She wasn't even old. That was the scary thing. She wasn't even old. And she was portraying herself as an old person. And it just shows you that society back then hasn't changed till now. People don't have common sense. Because for me personally, I would be like, well, it's okay that you want to help people, but let's put some staff in there. If she would have had people in that house that was working with her, they would have been on to her and none of those people would have died. But the fact that she was by herself with these people, she wasn't certified, she wasn't a CNA, a nurse, or nothing. She wasn't certified to give nobody medication. They just trusted this lady with their family. It just doesn't make any sense. Like, why would you have your mother live with somebody that's older than your mother? Or in this case, she portrayed herself to be older than people's mama. But why would you feel like she's capable of taking care of 10 people? She old. It's not even about age. Like, even me, I'm young, but I can't take care of 10 people by myself. I need a staff to help me. How am I going to take care of 10 people by myself? Anybody needs a staff at any age, especially she's supposed to be an older person. So that right there, it just shows. And they said that a lot of them was off the street, had nowhere to go. One particular lady, it was a guy, it was sad, his name was Bert, and she was a social worker, and so she put him in the home. He was mentally ill, he had no family. His family was actually in another state and he was in California. So he met up with this social worker, and the social worker put him in the boarding house. But the social worker did not have common sense, because as a social worker, why would you put your client in a boarding house with an old lady and all these people? Like, it just shows that people don't use their brain back then or now. Because I would be asking a bunch. I'm like, so how are you taking care of all these people by yourself? That's first strike. Second strike, you're not a nurse. You're not certified. You're not an RN. You're not even a CNA. You know nothing about the medical field. You know nothing about nothing. Like, no, you're not able to take care of these people. You know, she didn't have nobody on staff. You know, a boarding house, they need to have, you know, some people there on staff, you know, to help out. And it's sad. So she poisoned them, and then she buried them in her backyard. So I feel like she had to have help, because Bert, this guy, he was heavy set. So how was her little self, how was she able to put his body in sheets and put him in the backyard? So the investigators, they did a good job with sending her to jail, but obviously somebody had to help her. I don't believe she did that on her own. I really don't. Even the woman, Ruth, was a little heavy set. And so how did she have help to put that body in the backyard? And it's a sad story, because, you know, she was trusting in the community. Everybody thought she was this old, beautiful lady, and she just loved everybody. Listen, that's not real. We live in a real world, people. It's not real. Do you have good, caring people? Yes, but nobody's going to open their house to 10 strangers. Nobody's going to do that. Nobody's going to do that. So shame on the people, shame on the social workers, shame on the family members that thought that she was just this Mother Teresa. Like, come on now. Nobody's that nice. I would have been on her like, what's in it for you? Like, and the weirdest thing is, she did it to steal their Social Security checks. And you know what she used the money for? She donated it to politicians. She donated it to nonprofits. She didn't even use the money for herself. That was the weird part. And when they died, she would take their clothes and donate it to churches. Like, she would give their clothes away. Very strange story. But I encourage you, Netflix is one of the best investments I ever had. Unsolved Mysteries is on there. They're coming out with a new season. And The Wrong Roommate is so good. They also talk about Jameson Bachman. He was a squatter. And people have squatters' rights, y'all. It's scary out here. Don't let nobody just move in with you. You can't afford the rent, it's okay to move back home. That's my advice. But do not get a roommate, because you can end up with a Jameson Bachman. He just was on some stuff. Like, he would pay rent for a month and then wouldn't pay rent for 2 years and kept taking them to court. His name wasn't on the lease, and he will always take people to court and win. And then there's also a law that I learned today. Let's say, like, you have your own apartment. Like, I have my own apartment, and I let somebody move in with me, right? I cannot change the law says I cannot change my locks. I cannot change my locks because the squatter living with me. They don't got to pay a dime of rent. But the fact that they live with me, I cannot change my locks. That's scary to know that they have rights. Like, how you don't pay for nothing, you just in somebody's crib and you got rights. Like, the laws are weird. They are weird. They are. But check it out, y'all. Netflix, The Wrong Roommate, is just so good. Like, Netflix needs to get an award because their documentaries are so good. They're just really, really good. They're educational. I've learned more stuff on Netflix than I did in school. And I have a bachelor's degree. I don't feel like I learned anything. But Netflix, y'all. Netflix, The Wrong Roommate. Check it out.